Italian Football Podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another post-match reaction here on the Italian Football Podcast. My name is Nima Tavallaey and I will be reacting to Atalanta 4, Borussia Dortmund 1 and Juventus 3, Galatasaray 2, a night of heroes for the Serie A teams. But before I get to all of that, as those of you watching on YouTube can see, I'm joined by a guest, a very special guest. Those of you who listen to this pod weekly and often would know that I've mentioned his name quite a bit. He is a refereeing expert. His official title is Matchday Observer at Football Australia. Welcome, Alessandro Arbizzani.
Hi, Nima. Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's so good to have you. And the reason why people who listen to this pod know your name is because, well, you're a refereeing expert. You've trained referees. You've been a referee. So tell us a little bit about your role.
I started refereeing. It's almost 20 years now. I started in Italy. I'm originally from near Monza, so I was from the Monza branch when I refereed in Italy, and I started. I did a few years there before moving to Australia in Melbourne. I refereed Eccellenza game back in Italy, and then I moved here and I refereed in the Victorian League for a long time. I've done the Youth League here in Australia before blowing a hamstring. I've refereed a few finals. I've had cup games. I've seen a fair bit as a centre referee. Wasn't really good on the line, but I've done a bit of that as well. So yeah, it's been it was a long journey, and then I think in 2017 that's when I got injured. Was after 6 months with a tear in my hamstring, and I started randomly coaching. I had been doing mentoring, and I fell in love with coaching. So ever since I've been coaching referees, and now I've been officially coaching Football Australia since 2021, I think. So it's about 5 years on and off. I coach the elite panel in Victoria, here where I'm based. And yeah, it's so my role really after abandoning the whistle, it's going to matches, watching referees, giving them feedback, but also helping training the elite group, both here in Australia and Victoria, it's something I love. As you know, Neem, I love talking refereeing and I love nerding out about it. I've also
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have to take this opportunity to apologize to your wife because you live on the other side of the world, and she must be wondering, who is this lunatic sending you these long WhatsApp voice notes in the middle of the night for you, or in the morning for you, asking the most convoluted refereeing questions, which is what I do. I literally harass you. I feel like I literally harass you.
You know what, Nima? That's why my wife doesn't come hang out with my friends, because that's all we talk about. And at the beginning when we started dating 10 years ago, she was coming out and could not understand the word. And after a while, she was like, "Look, you know what? It's okay if I stay home." I'm like, "Yeah, no problems, done."
Well, there's a reason I asked you, and it's because you live on the other side of the world. So this was actually a really good opportunity because I've been trying to get you on the pod, and I can't think of a better time to bring you on the pod to discuss these things, because there was 2 instances in these matches which I want to discuss. The first one is Lloyd Kelly's red card and the penalty that Nikola Krstovic got after Ramy Bensebaini was sent off, showing 2 yellows. But let's start with the Lloyd Kelly one, because a lot of people express that they don't understand what happened, because it was a straight red. Just to go through what happened, it's a straight red. The VAR looks at it and confirms it. So can you explain a little bit what happened there? Why was he sent off? What's the dynamics? What are they looking at? And was it right or wrong?
Yeah. It's an interesting one. I think there's 2 aspects to this incident, right? So first of all, I think the final decision is correct. I also have seen, as I was watching the game, that the referee initially gives a yellow card and then a second, which is a second, and turns into a red. Their review was for a straight red card for serious foul play, and that only matters. That happens because of reporting reasons. So, as a lawyer, you probably understand, Nima, that, reports matters. Whatever you get convicted for changes what you face, how many the fines and all this sort of stuff. So that's why the review happened. So it's a bit unlucky. Lloyd Kelly, as
Just ask,
Carlo
so
called
was it a straight red card? So just a question, was it a straight red card or was it a second yellow?
was at the end was a straight red card.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's I watched it a couple of times because even in the replays at the beginning they go straight to the replay and don't show the referee. Pinheiro actually pulls out the yellow and then the red. So either there's two things. Either he messed up his pockets, which I don't think he did. I hope he didn't do it. Or he gave a yellow and then a red card. Now,
but then the VAR looked at it because it's still a potential red card, and then they decided that it was the red card. Okay, great. So now that we've that out of the way, what the VAR did and the situation it did, and the manner in which it decided, because as of now, just so people understand, second yellows are not reviewable by VAR. That's probably going to change in March, right?
So normally the laws change in June, July when summer tournaments happen. So we are looking at the possibility of that changing, that and corners before goals at the World Cup. Potentially, there's a push for that. It may or may not happen. So that'll be interesting.
So let's look at this situation. You said it's unlucky. Talk us through it.
So the ball is up in the air. So that's the first consideration, right? Where is the ball? The ball is flying high, which means it's harder to control. Neither player in possession because that ball was a bit, there was a couple of turnovers. Ball is kicked up. Now, the Galatasaray player is on the ground and Lloyd Kelly, he's jumping for the ball. And as he does that, it jumps towards the opponent. Now, that's a challenge for the ball. So that's very important because he's not in possession. Why? Because the ball is in the air. So no one is in possession. He's jumping for the ball. As he lands, I say he's unlucky because if he doesn't get the other player, nothing happens. Right? Worst case scenario, maybe there's a free kick if he bumps him as he falls down. He's there unlucky because he's not in control of his body. As he's jumping, you can see the leg that hits with studs on the back of the leg of the Galatasaray player, so on a soft area. If you play football, you know that studs there really hurts. And it goes down onto the ankle, pushing down the ankle to the ground. So the ankle of the Galatasaray player is between the ground and the studs, which is really painful. So as he falls, that leg is completely out of control. I don't think there's any, intention doesn't matter by the law unless you're punching someone. That's the only reason, we talk about malice and intention only when there's violent conduct, which was not the case. But you can see Lloyd Kelly is not in control of his body, which means as he goes down and puts those studs on that low calf ankle, pushing it into the ground, that's considered serious foul play because he acted endangering the safety of an opponent. That ankle could have broken. Because of a challenge he made, he didn't mean to hurt nobody, but he didn't act with any regard for the safety of his opponent, and that's why that becomes a red card. And that's why I say he's unlucky, because that foot is 20 centimeters to the left, 20 centimeters to the right. We're not talking about a red card. But he took that risk. He took that risk jumping, not controlling his body. And when you take that risk, because it's a challenge, that goes in the books as red card. And I guess I saw on social a lot of people going, why is this? Even the commentators here, they were like, that's harsh. Like, there's nothing in there. He didn't do it on purpose. And I think that's where sometimes the refereeing concepts of football and the football understanding of fans, it's not completely in sync. Because as a fan, I look at it and go, oh, he's unlucky. Should we really be sent off for that? But then I look at it from a consideration point of view and I go, well, he could have broken someone's leg. Do we want to wait for someone to break the leg to send someone off? No. And that's where that becomes a red card.
And that's why I've wanted to bring you on, because I believe that the only way that we get away from a lot of misunderstandings is if the general knowledge of how the laws of the game work in terms of how the referees apply them, how they're informed to apply them. I think when the general understanding improves, the discourse becomes much more intelligent, and we'll have much more better discourse and much more intelligent discourse when the communication and the understanding goes on. So thank you for that. I think you made that absolutely clear. I want to ask about Ramy Bensebaini and Nikola Krstovic, because here I think, and I have to admit, because of the fact that we've spoken, I feel somewhat educated to talk about this. It's a second yellow, so it's a second yellow, and that's why it's a red. And the reason is that it's reckless. Now, if you look at the situation, and the reason it's reviewable that VAR is because if it's a penalty or not. Okay, so now that's out of the way. But if you look at the situation, the ball comes behind Bensebaini. He doesn't even look back to see if there's a player there, and just kicks up. And given where the height of the ball is, that's where you can expect an attacking player to put his head. Is that why that was reckless?
Yeah. So there's two things to consider there. As always, we look at force, speed, and point of contact. So these are the three main considerations for challenges. Speed wasn't that much because Bensebaini is kind of standing, so it just flicks his leg back. There's a bit of force in there when you do that because it's a kick. I wouldn't say it's very high, but it's still medium high. But then the point of contact, and that's what makes a big difference. He gets with studs, he kicks someone with studs in their face. That hurts. And that
he was bleeding in the face.
Yeah, he was bleeding, right? Yeah. I mean, you could even argue that's endangering the safety of an opponent because you're kicking someone in the face with studs. We could argue that, but in that situation, because of the low force and speed, and also because Krstovic is putting his head down not too much, as you said, it's expected for him to play with his head there. So it's not like he's gone on the ground with his head, but it's natural to have your head there. So it's expected in football. So that he potentially is endangering himself a little bit. So that's kind of like something that can lower that consideration down a little bit to a yellow. But because there's those studs on the face, that's reckless, right? It's complete disregard for the safety of an opponent. So it is a bad challenge, desperate challenge, and that's a pen, that's a yellow card. It's also, you need also to consider whether it was a stop in a promising attack or an obvious goal scoring opportunity, but because there is a physical offense, the physical offense is the most serious, so that takes priority in the pecking order of disciplinary sanctions.
Okay.
So in that situation, if there was a red card, Dogso, for example, that would have taken priority because that's the most serious offense. But if we have two yellow offenses, then the physical one is the most serious one. So, because that may happen, right? As a Dogso yellow or a Spy yellow and a reckless tackle, reckless will be the disciplinary sanction that is given. So, look, for me, it's a clear pen. Obviously, you can't kick someone in the face. As you said, I think you explained it pretty well as well, right? It's expected for Krstovic to use his head there. It's a cross, and Bensebaini, it's desperate. Now, if he hit Krstovic with the top of his foot, so with the laces, he might have gotten away without a card.
Okay.
So if
but it's still a penalty then, yeah.
Still a penalty. It would have still been a penalty, but maybe it wouldn't have been a card. Depending again in that situation, because point of contact could have been a little bit softer, and there is that coming together of the head and the foot. Then you could have thought, well, what's the speed? Is it high? No. What's the force? Is it high? Well, not really. So you could have probably gone, oh, maybe we don't give this as a card. But once there's contact with studs, you cannot damn yourself for a card.
Okay. And of course, the VAR intervened because, here's it comes with a clear and obvious error. The referee didn't see it, or wasn't in a position to see it, or
yeah. To me, it's so I think the referee, because it was a turnover from a bad mistake from Kobo. Yeah. The referee was probably looking at being high up the field, expecting a long ball. So you can see him running back, trying to chase play a bit. And when it happens, he's about 20-25 meters from the action. The assistant referee would have been 35-40 meters maybe from the action, so he couldn't have seen anything. For the official, 50-60 meters, right? Get him out of the picture. Wouldn't have seen nothing. And the referee was pretty square. It was very central because he was trying to get there as quick as possible. Yeah. So he probably completely missed it. Normally the process would be the referee would say on-field decision is no penalty. The Atalanta attacker headed, it was normal football contact after the defender hit the ball first, for example. That was not the case. and VAR goes, well, actually that didn't happen. So look, I'm gonna send you to this. I'm gonna recommend an on-field review for a potential penalty kick. The referee goes to the screen, and that's when they have the conversation. VAR would say, I'm gonna show you this. This is what we think we saw. Here you go. And then the referee can ask different cameras, different views, different speeds. They roll it through. But I think, it just missed it because it was far.
Yeah. Okay. This is excellent. Thank you so much for doing this. I know you're literally at work and I dragged you into this. So thank you so much. Always a pleasure to talk with you. And I will be tagging you on putting your social on Twitter as well. I think everyone should follow you. I really recommend following Alessandro. He's so good at explaining these things, as you've noticed, everyone. And thank you so much for coming on, and would love to have you on again. We literally live on opposite sides of the world, so it's
this time works perfect. So anytime.
Yeah, exactly. So let's do this at midnight my time and like daytime your time. Brilliant. Thank you, Ale.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you, Nima. Good to see you.
Ciao. Buona giornata. Ciao.
Ciao.
Right. So let's talk about the football then. Now that Alessandro so brilliantly explained what happened there. I'm not going to talk about the state of Italian football because I think that would be doing a disservice to the heroes that we saw tonight, and we did see heroes. We saw a heroic Juventus fall short, and we saw a heroic Atalanta come through. We all know the state of Italian football, where it is, and all that stuff. So I'm not going to get into that, because I think it would be a disservice. And also, I don't think it's relevant, even if Juventus had gone through. Like I said last week, it doesn't matter if Atalanta win or Inter win and Juve win. The overall point is there. I want to focus tonight on the heroics that we saw at Juventus, at Allianz Stadium, and at Gewiss Stadium. Juve and Atalanta, in the way that they approached this game, did everything that Cristian Chivo and Inter did not do yesterday. We have to be honest about that. Juve approached this game in a smart, controlled, high intensity, high press, having correctly identified the weaknesses that Galatasaray have, and boy, do they have defensive weaknesses. And they managed to kind of pinpoint that, win a penalty, score, and then try to continue to drum up without being too frantic or panicked. Then the penalty, which we've already discussed with Alessandro, happens, and then Juventus get fired up. They get angry, and they start to show pride. And you can see the way that the crowd carried them as well. It was truly, truly wonderful to see a night where the fans of a club that is not doing well and the players of a club that are not doing well, everyone has been questioning them. There's even been some murmurs of if Spalletti will be sacked or not, but they all united and they all showed desire, passion, dedication for the cause. And that's why Juventus were able to score the second via Gatti and the third via Weston McKennie, who I thought was phenomenal tonight. I have to say, he may not, what he lacks in technical quality, he more than makes up for in heart, dedication, but also, I have to say, his decision-making on the pitch has improved this season, and especially since Spalletti arrived at Juve. He is a much serviceable player now, and he's never been better, in my opinion. Allegri loved him and played him, and he was very good under Allegri, but I've never seen him be this good, and I never thought he would be this good as he has been under Spalletti. So kudos to Spalletti, kudos to Weston McKennie. And then, of course, we have to talk about Edon Žegrova and the chance that he missed after a fantastic assist and build up by McKennie, or the fantastic assist by McKennie and brilliant build up by Juve all round, who were unbelievably heroic and just outstanding tonight. If they played with that kind of concentration, that kind of dedication, Juventus would not be risking top four. They would have been easily in the top four, and they would have gone through had they played, because they would not have conceded 5 goals away at the Allianz Stadium in Istanbul. But having said that, we have to address Edon Žegrova. Edon Žegrova, that is a bad miss. But I hope Juventus fans forgive him, because I think it's a bad miss. He will be kicking himself, and there will be nightmare. He'll have nightmares probably for years to come because of that miss. But I hope that fans forgive him and don't crucify him, because he is a wonderful player to watch. We saw what he can do in tight spaces. You saw what he can do, how he shifts his weight. He's so technical. He can do something for Juve, and he's still very, very young. So I hope that Juventus fans forgive him and don't belabor the point and don't crucify him, because he, it is a bad miss, like I said, but it's also a little bit unlucky. And the way that you can see the way that he positions his body to take that shot, he just gets it wrong. It's all happens so fast. And then, of course, Victor Osimhen, who breaks Luciano Spalletti's heart. Victor Osimhen, who won Spalletti, his first and only Scudetto to date, probably the only one Spalletti will probably win, unless he stays at Juve and they do something spectacular next season. But it's Osimhen who comes and breaks Spalletti's hearts. And then, of course, Juventus create more, but fail to kill off to score. Lots of chances, but just that final edge is not there. And Baris, Alper, Yilmaz scores, and then that's good night. I think, I really, really think Juventus should be proud. And I'm glad to see the fans were applauding this Juve despite going out, because this is what you want to see. You want to see intelligence, you want to see heart, you want to see spirit, you want to see soul, you want to see all of these things in balance. And the fact that a 10-man Juve took Galatasaray to 120 minutes and were not far away from going 4-0 up, producing one of the greatest nights in Juventus, European nights in Juventus recent history, is something that it made me happy to see that there's something now to build from. I hope Juventus are able to recover, aren't too disappointed. There will be resentment, there will bitterness rather, and I hope that they can all rally around the positives, because there is positives from this night, and push forward, even though their European campaign ends in heartbreak. A European heartbreak, a European campaign that did not end in heartbreak, but actually continues to go on, is Atalanta tonight, who, if Juventus managed the game well against Galatasaray, Palladino and Atalanta managed the game against Borussia Dortmund perfectly. This is how you come back from a 2-goal deficit. Controlled, concentrated, composed, clear game plan, knew when to attack in the game, knew when to not attack and when to push forward. It was Raffaele Palladino's, it was an exam, and Raffaele Palladino got the top marks. Scamacca's goal, great. The way that he had this team both mentally, tactically, on the pitch was outstanding. Zappacosta continues to score. I really rate Zappacosta. I really think he's such a good player. He's such a serviceable player, such a team player, and he has quality. And of course, Pasalic and Lazar is Lazar Samardzic with a penalty, which we've already kind of discussed. And a reason why I'm looking at this, because Alessandro wrote me saying to correct the record. Apparently, the referee in the Atalanta game did confuse his yellow and red card. The referee in the Juventus game did confuse his yellow and red card, and so so he should have given a straight red, not a second yellow for the Kelly situation. Just Alessandro sent that to me to clarify that, because I'm putting this on the YouTube and on the web. So there was a confusion, but it was a straight red and nothing. And nothing else. So there's been a bit of chaos around that, but we already kind of clarified that. But going back to Atalanta, you just continue to be amazed by Atalanta and how this provincial side from Bergamo in the north of Italy continues to punch above their weight. You know, Carlo was the first to say that pound for pound they're the best run club in Europe, in the world. I just want to echo that 100%, because it's just outstanding the way that they continue to do this, and I think it's kind of interesting as well, because in the sense that Atalanta managed to pull off the remontada, but Inter and Juve don't. Atalanta are the latest club to have won a European trophy as well, even though it wasn't the Champions League, it was the Europa League. And it's, you know, Atalanta just, you know, they've built this kind of culture that they almost have a veneer of miraculousness, or if that's even a word, of performing miracles when it comes to Europe. And they continue to normalize miracles in Europe. And this was a miracle. I mean, if you saw the game last week in Westfalen Stadium in Dortmund, there was nothing to suggest that Atalanta were going to pull this off. And especially tonight, the way that they come back, Karim Adeyemi scoring that goal, and there was a little bit of nervousness, but they managed to ride out the storm. And then, of course, they get the penalty and Samardzic blasts it home. It was a night of heroics. And now, if I'm not mistaken, they play either Bayern Munich or Arsenal in the round of 16. And at this point, discount or count out Atalanta at your own peril. I hope them or Bodo Glimt go on and win the whole damn thing. So I'm rooting for those two teams, because I think they are two very well-run clubs, very, very good structured, sound clubs, pound for pound, excellent run. Well, two of the best clubs in the world, if not the two best clubs in the world. If you look at what their potential is and what they have to work with, you can't discount Bodo Glimt from there. It's a wonderful story, and Atalanta tonight just continue to perform miracles and continue to do things that should not be possible in Europe, in European football, given the financial disparity that unfortunately has killed some of the mythology of football, these dream stories, the underdog stories. We don't see them anymore. But Atalanta continue to punch above their weight, and so do Bodo Glimt. So it is a night of heroes. It is a redemption arc for the Serie A clubs tonight in Europe. The overall problems, which we have discussed for 5 years on this pod, analyzed, brought in everyone from former presidents to current presidents to former players to sporting directors to journalists to doctors to everyone you can imagine, youth coaches, even youth coaches at the under-17 Italy national team level, to youth coaches in England. I mean, we've done all of that. All of those issues remain. But tonight, we pay tribute, we pay homage to the heroes at Juventus and Atalanta, because they are heroes. What they did tonight was nothing short of heroic. Juventus should be proud despite going out. Atalanta, the miracle lives on. Hope you win the Champions League. Right. That's all the time. That's everything I had to say now on this for this post-match reaction. A bit longer episode than we usually, and a bit different structure, but I felt it was really important given what happened tonight to bring someone on. And when Alessandro said he could be on, I jumped at the chance. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, same thing there. Like, subscribe, 5-star rating. And if you're not a patron, join or a member, patreon.com/TIFP or youtubememberships.com/ItaFootPod. Because I say that because we'll be back for patrons and members only tomorrow, when it's Thursday, when it's time for the weekly Q&A pod. We've got lots of questions sent in. And if you want to send in questions and watch the whole thing and watch all of our episodes without any ads, then sign up as a member. Everyone else, Let us know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe on YouTube. Like, subscribe, give us 5-star on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you consume podcasts. So, but until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Ciao, ciao.